clock, Herbie Hancock, so tired no one's up. 4 a.m. fever, no doubt. Describe her to me, the nice girl you asked. She's always lonely. Don't put your arms around like that.
And Joe the Shirt is once again off the cuff. Thought I'd start out today's show with music depressing enough to want to kill an angel. Welcome back, everybody. I am Joe the Shirt. So glad to be back here. Sorry I didn't do the show yesterday like originally planned. Life happened despite my best intentions. But I'm here now. I'm here with you, and I'm here to talk because that is what I do, essentially. All right, let's see. Now, before we get into today's topic, the Church of Baseball, really, I want to ask you guys something. Do you love your parents? I know this seems like a pretty simple, basic, easy question, but it's really, really not. Okay, some of you may not know your parents. Maybe you don't know your mom. Maybe you don't know your dad. Maybe they died when you were very, very young and you don't remember them. I find it particularly interesting when people say that they love their mom, even though their mom died in childbirth. I find it very difficult to love somebody you've never met. I understand the emotional need that some people have there. I just don't have it. I feel the same way about people that say, they lost their baby in a miscarriage, or they gave their baby up for adoption, or they had an abortion. I've heard many stories about women who just feel this incredible sense of love for the baby that they decided not to have, but they feel guilty about. And that's what I think it is. I don't think it's really love. I think it's just guilt. I'm thinking, I am not the woman having the abortion, nor do I ever intend to be. Okay, I'm asking you this because how often do you visit your parents? You're an adult human being now. Hopefully if you're listening to this show. But you're an adult human being, and, you have your own life to lead. Maybe you're in college. Maybe you are a young adult that's working, out there. Maybe you live out here in California, in Hollywood, trying to be an actor, a movie star, TV star, a musician, rock star. Maybe you're a writer, a producer. Maybe you work in some Fortune 500 company. Maybe you work on Wall Street. Maybe you've started your own business, and your parents live further away than they used to. If you're me, that's by design, okay? But I'll get back to that. But, it's gotten to the point where, you live very far away from your parents. Like, in my case, it's about roughly almost 3,000 miles. My mother lives in Florida because it's the law, apparently. When you get to be a certain age, you have to move to Florida. She's we're Puerto Rican, so she hated New York City weather, especially New York City winter weather. So as soon as I went to college, within 2 months, she and the rest of the family were in Florida. They could not wait to go. So that's where she is now. That's where she lives. And I've been living out here in Los Angeles for good, what is it, like 16, 17 years now, maybe longer, who knows. I came out here back when I was about 25, 26 years old, and I'm I'm going to be 43 next month, so yeah, there you go, do the math, right? So about 17 years now. And when I first got out here, I would make it a point to try to visit my mother once a year. When I was in college, I would go visit her a few times a year. The holidays would come along, and she'd pay for my plane ticket, and I'd go visit her in Florida. Spring break, winter break, summer, unless I took summer classes, which I start to do more and more often because going to visit my family for the holidays is dull. That's what happens when your family's a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's dull. But then I got older, and I moved out here to try to, follow my career as a stand-up comic, and I did stand-up comedy out here and in New York is where I started for a good 15, 17 years, and traveled across the country here and there. Never made it big, obviously, but, and when I came out here, I made it a point to go back once a year, and then it became every 2 years. And finally, it's been like 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, since I visited my mother last time. I mean, I've seen her. Don't get me wrong. She came out to visit here about 2 years ago. She came out with one of my sisters and her little brood and her husband. Put her up in a nice motel, and that was a gang of fun. I think it was about 2.5 years ago, yeah. Put her up in a very nice hotel that I used to work at. I mean, there are sons of bitches there, but, because they fired me. But it is a very nice hotel. I can't take that away from them. They're just run by, shitty people. But, I got a really, really nice room. It was a nice, big, comfortable room with a full kitchen and refrigerator. And, and it was like 1 block from where I live. So that made it very easy. But I got to the point where I just told my mother, I'm like, Mom, why don't you come visit me? That's where I got sick of it, because I was the one that always had to pick myself up, because I'm working. I'm trying to make a life for myself out here. I have a job, and going to visit her means that I'm taking resources from other things I might want to do, like say go on vacation, a real vacation. Me and my girlfriend, we love to go to Cancun every year. And, if we take the time to go visit her, then that means less money for our trip to Cancun, if any, and I know that sounds selfish, and it is, because we need it, and it's not just about a financial burden, it's about a time burden, you're busy, you are busy. And I'm not the only one in my family that's done this. My sister, Sandra, she lives in New York, with her little brood as well. They're not so little anymore. She's got 3 of them, and the youngest one is like 14, But I will say my sister Sandra does make more of an effort to visit my mother than I do. My sister Yamila, who lives also in Florida, like the next town over or something like that, she visits her, I think like once a month, once every couple of weeks or whatever. And then you have my sister Jessica, who's the second youngest. She lives in the same building with her. She manages the building that my mother lives in, so that makes things very convenient for the both of them. And my mother helps with taking care of her kids, with her husband and all that. And then I got the twins who are living with my mother, but they just turned 18, so she's ready to kick those little bitches to the curb. Trust me on that. But, out of all of me and my siblings, I was the one that always wanted to leave the most. Not to get away from my mother, not to get away from my sisters, but to get away from the life that I grew up knowing. I wanted to know what a different kind of life was. Because when you grow up poor Puerto Rican in the Bronx in New York, you got 8 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment. You want to know what it's like to be by yourself and have space, and that's where that goes. So the question still remains, how much do you love your parents? How often do you visit them? I bring this up because China recently enacted a new law, I think back in July, a visit your parents law. It is a law now there. And now China has a very long tradition of honoring thy mother and father. Okay, it makes Christianity and Judaism look like bullshit. All right, to the point where the whole idea of not spending a lot of time with your mother and father was just ridiculous up to a generation ago. Up until about a generation ago, I mean, people. They lived very close to each other. They worked very close to each other. They would go out of their way to visit their parents, But now, China being the industrialized modern nation that it is, and its population more and more being centralized in the large cities away from the small rural villages that so many traditional Chinese people grew up in, it gets harder and harder for these people to go back and visit their parents. Now, the new law states that children must visit your parents often. And if you do not, your parents can sue you. That is correct. Your mommy and daddy can sue you for being a bad son or daughter by not visiting them. Here's an example here. Let's see. Kleenex in hand, this is from the LA Times. The retired farmer in the purple plaid shirt perched behind the plaintiff's table in a rural courtroom wept as she complained to the judge about her eldest son. For the last year and a half, 70-year-old Li Langyu said she's been asking him to visit and provide her with grain and cooking oil. Quote, "The son has forgotten the mother," end quote, she shouted, burying her face in her hands. Now, Li Langyu's son, his wife, defends what's going on. The wife and daughter told the judge that he only earns $166 a month. Visiting more often is possible, but they really can only afford a fraction of the amount of food and grain and oil that grandma wanted. Apparently, he's considered at 60 years old a disappointment to the 78-year-old mother. Now, this new law took into effect July 1st, and so far, I mean, it's been a very traditional, time-honored kind of thing where you take care of your parents, where you go and visit them, you honor them, you talk to them, and the government has taken a step into this to encourage people to do this. Now, the children of these elderly parents are saying that, you know what, it isn't about honoring our mothers and fathers. It isn't about, honoring tradition and family. It's about how the government really doesn't want to pay for taking care of their elderly. And a lot of people will tell you, well, so what? It should be the children's, obligation to take care of their parents. I'm like, yeah, but there are exceptions to every rule. I mean, what if your dad was a pedophile? What if your mom is clinically insane? There's what if one of them is a raging alcoholic? What if they beat you and kept you in a closet, chained to a bolt? I mean, there's a lot of reasons not to visit your parents, other than the fact that you don't have the time or the money. Another issue that a lot of these younger Chinese people are having is, because they do have to work in the cities, it is very difficult for them to get time off work and go visit their parents in their little rural provincial villages that could be hundreds, if not thousands, of miles away, and it's expensive. They would like the idea of being able to, say, move their parents to where they live in the city, so that they could be closer to them, visit them more often, and help with their care. But the problem is, China's rules are that if you want to collect on their form of, like, say, Social Security, their retirement from the government, there is a residency restriction in place, which means that you must live in the city, in the town or city or province where you were born to qualify for these benefits. Which means that if these kids up and move mom and dad to their city, government cuts off all support, and that leaves the kids taking care of their parents 100%. So it does make it very difficult. Some stories I read here talk about how some parents said, of course, they would never ever, even dream of suing their kid, but and the kids are having a different thought process on the whole parent-child dynamic by deciding that, okay, I'm going to take care of my parents, but that means I'm either not going to marry, or if I do marry, we're not going to have any children because children are expensive, and my real children now are in their 70s and 80s, and I got to take care of them due to government mandates. Fascinating stuff, I think. Anyway, our first song today, that depressing little number, was brought to you by Herbie Hancock. It was called Sunny Side Up, believe it or not. Oh, no, actually, no, it was Sunny Side Up and their song, Herbie Hancock. My mistake. Next here we have Next in Line by The Go Station. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. And once again, Joe the Shirt is off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Talking about parents. And now we're going to get into the meat of today's topic, the Church of Baseball. Really? But before we do, let's do celebrity birthdays. We'll do yesterday's celebrity birthdays as well as today's, because I promised you a show yesterday, and I lied. And so I'll at least give you at least a taste of yesterday. If your birthday is August 21st, you share a birthday with the world's fastest man, Usain Bolt. He's 27 years old. The one and only Kenny Rogers is 75, and he looks like 275. He's gotten so much plastic surgery done. He just looks like he looks like a mock-up of himself. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City is 57 years old. Carrie Ann Moss from The Matrix is 46. You remember her as Trinity. Loretta Devine, actress, 64 years old. Melvin Van Peebles, father of Mario Van Peebles, is 81 years old. R.J. Mitty is 21 years old. He's known as Junior on Breaking Bad. And Clarence Williams III is 74 years old. You'll remember him, black actor, older obviously. Always very loudmouth and has a big-ass gap in his front teeth. But a very good actor. If your birthday is today, you share a birthday with Saturday Night alumni, Kristen Wiig, who's 40. Dakota Goyo, who's 14 years old. You may remember him as a little boy from Real Steel. Giada De Laurentiis is 43 years old, celebrity cook, chef, whatever you want to call her. Valerie Harper is 74 years old. Rhoda. Howie Dorough is 40. You may remember him as one of the Backstreet Boys. Richard Armitage is 42 years old. It's a new name for a lot of you guys, but if you went and saw The Hobbit, then you know who Thorin Oakenshield is. Cindy Williams, Shirley from Laverne and Shirley, is 66 years old. Ty Burrell is 46. Mark Williams is 54. You may remember him as Dad Weasley in the Harry Potter films. And Rick Yor is 42 years old. Okay. A lot of news, lot of press going on lately with the whole A-Rod thing and the performance-enhancing drugs going on, and everybody's all in an uproar, and everybody's all pissed off at A-Rod. 10 years ago he was like saving baseball from oblivion. Now he's just like he's worse than Hitler. Okay, according to this. What did A-Rod do exactly? Well, you know what? Let's figure out. It's because not just A-Rod. Apparently, one of the biggest, let's call them drug stings in Major League Baseball. 13 men have been tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs and will have received some pretty stiff penalties here. Let's see, Jordan Norberto tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Let's see, he got, doesn't say what he got for it. Fernando Martinez, Sergio, let's see, well, Jordan Roberto is a free agent. Fernando Martinez of the New York Yankees. Sergio Escalona from Houston. Faustino de los Santos, free agent. Cesar Puello, New York Mets. Jorge Valdespin, New York Mets. Antonio Bastardo, Philadelphia. Jesus Montero, Seattle. Francisco Carvelli, New York Yankees. Johnny Peralta of Detroit. Everth Cabrera of San Diego. Nelson Cruz of Texas. And Alex Rodriguez of the New York Yankees. Of course, Alex Rodriguez being the most famous of the bunch. Also one of the highest paid baseball players in MLB history. Let's see, if you want to know how high, let's see. He signed a 10-year, $275 million contract in 2007 with the Yankees, the richest in baseball history, okay? And since allegedly testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, normally steroids and human growth hormone is the biggest offender here. He got the stiffest Major League Baseball penalty in history. From last I heard, 211 games, known as the rest of this season and all of next season. It's part of the big crackdown that Major League Baseball is having on, cheaters. And that's okay. And let's see, Alex Rodriguez, also 38 years old. Now, how can I put this? I don't care. I really fucking don't care. I'm sick and tired of hearing about, the major league sports, cracking down on drug users, performance-enhancing drug users, steroid users, HGH users, whatever. I don't care. You know what? I really do believe that it's way, way, way more widespread than people say it is. Way more widespread than we know of. I think that it's happening. It's happening all. I think that I cannot believe for a second that there isn't a single team in Major League Baseball that doesn't have at least one player that is using performance-enhancing drugs. Because every time you talk to these guys that get caught using these type of drugs, they always say the same thing. Hey, it's not just me. Everybody's doing it. Okay, it's like handing out, you go into the locker room, it's like they're handing out party favors, okay? It's just like, hey, you want to try this, you want to try that, you want to try this, you want to try that. Isn't this illegal? It's like, only if you get caught. And I cannot bring myself to care, honestly. I mean, if everybody's doing it, and I really do believe that there's a lot more players out there using than not using than we know of. Obviously, it's not 100% of the players are using. I don't think it's even... I think it's a stretch to say that 50% of players are using performance-enhancing drugs. But will I be willing to say 30, 40%? Yeah, I would. And that's a big percentage. That's huge. And I don't have a problem with this because, I mean, there have been drugs in Major League sports forever. I mean, not all of them being performance-enhancing, but some of them have been. There were rumors of, Babe Ruth using cocaine. Nothing was ever proven there. But, I could see the Babe. I can imagine the Babe, doing cocaine. I could see him, And I think that if it's so prevalent, I think really just let it go. And I think that making an example out of Alex Rodriguez is a joke, to be completely honest with you. I think it's a complete joke. Just like with Lance Armstrong, he got stripped of his medals. He had 6 or 7 of them for the Tour de France, and the simple truth is that there's every sport there are drugs. There are performance-enhancing drugs. Okay, well, maybe not golf. Maybe not bowling. Real sports. But what's a performance-enhancing drug in bowling? Light beer. But here's the thing. What difference does it really make? I mean, fuck the fact that, maybe it's not the majority of players that are doing performance-enhancing drugs. Maybe it is. Maybe only 30, 40%. Hell, maybe it's only 20%, I don't consider... Why do you have to use only what you were naturally born with? I don't exactly understand this. Science is constantly trying to find ways to enhance your ability to perform certain things, be it running or cycling or baseball. That's why they invented Gatorade, for God's sakes, and Propel, and they're giving you shoes and equipment, and then of course baseball restricts equipment as well. You can't use a corked bat, can't use an aluminum bat, can't use anything to make the ball slipperier, can't make and in some ways I do get the idea, but if everybody's allowed to use it, what's the difference? Honestly. And unlike in other sports, like say Olympic sports or track or Tour de France, once you've already played, they're not going to change what happens. Okay? A perfect example, of course, is Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong, they decided, okay, he was using performance-enhancing drugs, type of drugs that are considered illegal in that sport. And what did they do? They stripped him of his medals. Fine, great. They stripped Marion Jones of her medals. Fine, great. Are you going to take away any of the World Series titles from the Yankees? Anybody at all? Or any of the other teams, be it football, basketball, or, soccer, tennis, baseball, whatever. Is anybody going to go and say, hey, Alex Rodriguez was using, performance-enhancing drugs during this win in the World Series? If it hadn't been for that, the Yankees probably would have lost. So now let's give it to whatever other team they were fucking playing that day. Who knows? I don't. That's not going to happen. It's not. I don't care. And it would be something. If all the teams got together and said, okay, if any of our teammates were using performance-enhancing drugs, we're going to give it back to the other team, unless of course they were using performance-enhancing drugs as well. What's that? They were? In that case, fuck you. We're keeping it. It doesn't really change anything. So, I mean, the best they can do is maybe revoke some of the individual accolades and awards you might be able to get, like the home run derby or MVP, maybe, that kind of shit. But Cy Young award, but overall, it doesn't really matter. And by the way, while this is going on with Alex Rodriguez, he's appealed, so he's allowed to play. All right? Now, another one of the big deals, some coaches from other teams have suggested that they not ban Alex Rodriguez from baseball or, give him the penalty of not being able to play for this season or next season, because while Alex Rodriguez is banned from baseball, for using performance-enhancing drugs, he doesn't draw a paycheck, okay? Which means that then the Yankees are not paying him, which means that they can use that, all that money, that $27.5 million that they owe him for next year, and whatever's left on this year's salary, which together come out to about, $36 million. They can use that $36 million to stay under the luxury tax, and then use all that extra space, all that extra cap money to pursue younger players, newer players, and and spend money on other players that are up and coming that they can they can use, and they don't have to worry about A-Rod. So I think in a lot of ways people are seeing it as a benefit to the Yankees. I think the whole drug testing thing is bullshit because drug testing has not been implemented in major sports for all that long. I'll give you an example of this, okay? Drug testing in Major League Baseball started in 2003. A lot of you have this idea in your head, right? That, they've been drug testing forever. No, they haven't. 2003, about 10 years now. Or as long as, A-Rod's been playing. Now, other sports have been doing it for a lot longer. For instance, cycling, Tour de France, 1966. You'd think that they've been testing since 1966. They should have been able to catch Lance Armstrong a lot sooner. NCAA, 1986. NFL, 1987. The NBA, 1983. NHL only started testing in 2005. Nobody thought for a second that maybe hockey players were doing more performance-enhancing drugs other than beer. Boxing, especially in Nevada, 1983. MMA in 2001, so not that long ago. Track and field for the Olympics, 1976. So really, when you think about it, when it comes to most major league U.S. sports, the biggies, basketball, football, baseball, and hockey, it's really, drug testing is a very recent thing. Anyway, it's time for us to take a break. With our next song here is Killing Time with Trench Town. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
Just killing time. One for love,
And once again, Joe the Shirt is back and off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Before I continue, I'm going to give you a little local news, okay? If you happen to live in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, anywhere close to West Hollywood, let's say, and you like to come down here and party, something you should know about. Last Friday, City of West Hollywood instituted its new West Hollywood Party Bus. That's right. On Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood, during late night hours of Friday and Saturday, you will be able to get on a bus from, let's see here, make sure I got the streets right, on Santa Monica Boulevard between Robertson Boulevard and Fairfax Avenue. There will be the ride will include 20 stops outside of bars, restaurants, and nightclubs, and it will run between 8 p.m. and 3 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays, and it's free. Okay, it is a free party bus. You get on, you pay no money, and you just ride to wherever you want to get to. There'll be 20 stops between Robertson and Fairfax. So you got clubs, you got bars, you got restaurants, you got gay bars, you got lesbian bars. I mean, all types of places to come out and party, just hang out, and and you pay nothing. Let's see, pickup service launched last Friday. Well, second night will be this Friday. Lord knows I'm going to do it. There's a jar, you're going to love it. There's a jar of free condoms next to the bus driver, and party tunes from a local DJ blares throughout the bus. I believe the bus sits, there's going to be 2 buses running back and forth. Each bus sits roughly 35 people. So please check that out, okay? The West Hollywood Accounts Party Bus. That's great. I love that. I love that idea. I really do. I think it's, it's cool because that way, you don't have as many people driving, not as many people driving while drunk, especially when it's like, 1, 2 in the morning. The last thing you want is a bunch of drunk assholes, running into other drunk assholes who are walking. Especially, I did talk about the whole pedestrian thing the other day about how, so many, despite the fact that 13% of drivers have been pulled over are tests for being drunk over the legal limit. It's actually 3 times more likely with pedestrians. So a little interesting local news there. Now let's go on to some more global news. Not that long ago, some time ago, I told you all about Google Glass. Basically, it looks like a set of eyeglasses that's really a microcomputer that lets you, while you're looking at something, it gives you the ability to record it, to take pictures of it. That weird noise is my dog sneezing. To take pictures of things, to do video of things, and then to post it directly onto such venues as Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, that kind of deal. Now, what does Google Glass look like and work? Like I said, it looks like a pair of glasses, and there are already plans in the works for people to be able to have their prescription attached to the Google Glass. All right, so that way you don't need 2 sets of glasses with you. You don't need to change shit out left and right. Google Glass is a headset that sits above the eyes and contains a tiny computer. The person wearing glass can use it to take pictures, send email, or get directions. Let's see, it includes a touchpad, which allows the wearer to tap and swipe to navigate through the display, a camera, which captures photos or video of what the wearer sees, which can be shared on Twitter or Facebook, and transparent overlay. It's a little piece of glass connected to the computer that is shown that is right above your eye, that displays a monitor that looks as if it's a 25-inch monitor 8 feet in front of you. So, you can be seeing what you're seeing, but you can also be looking at a computer screen that looks to be about 8 feet away from you and is about 25 inches long. This has already caused a lot of stir for a lot of people, especially people in the entertainment business, casinos, bars, strip clubs, any place that wants to host a bachelor party, they've already been told people, it's like, hey, don't come in here with your Google Glass, all right? Where we catch you with it, we're tossing you out. And it really does, once again, shift the very concept of privacy right through the ass. Because basically, I mean, once somebody's got this going, the security in Las Vegas has already said that they're not worried about it because they have their people trained to spot people using Google Glass, even if it's built into their glasses or people wearing sunglasses, because a person has a very distinct look when he's looking at the what appears to be a 25-inch display in front of them. They're not looking at what's directly in front of them. They're looking at the screen in front of them. And I'm telling you that people are going to find a way around that. Now, to help alleviate some security concerns, some privacy concerns, Google has said that they've already put in software into the Google Glass to block certain apps from being used. For instance, face recognition software, and to disallow certain ways of using the device that does not comply with privacy laws, public laws, whatever. And of course, there are already hackers, there are already developers and app makers that have found ways around this, to include facial recognition software. The glasses retail for about $1,500. 10,000 people were picked last year, or this year actually, to test the devices. They had to pay for them. And I'll be the first one to tell you, it sounds really fucking cool. I mean, not having to walk around with a camera or even pull out your cell phone or to take a picture. You're looking at it and you go, click. That's it. Click. It's done. It's definitely a way to change the way we look at the world and how we present things to the world. I mean, it's first person. That's how you're looking at things. It's not all different from playing a certain first-person video games where all you see is the gun in front of you. No. But of course, the privacy concerns are huge, and I'm telling you all, shut the fuck up because you asked for it. When it comes to these privacy laws, I'm always on the side of technology because you want it. I want it, okay? I am a big advocate for privacy, but I'm telling you right now, if I could afford one, I'd go get one. Now something here. This is an old story, and this will work into the next story as well. Here, in case you don't live in California, and most of you don't, there's been a hunger strike going on in California prisons. About 2 months ago, about 30,000 prisoners across California all got together and said, we're going on a hunger strike. That number's been whittled down to about 600. A hunger strike sounds really easy until you actually realize, wow, I've missed 2 meals already. I'm fucking starving. If a hunger strike were easy, do you think dieters would have such a hard fucking time losing weight? No, hunger strikes are hard, man. In response to this, the state of California said, so? Fine, don't eat. Fuck you. I don't care. No, that's not what they said. That's what they should say, because the reason they're protesting, they're striking, is because they are protesting the use of extended solitary confinement as a punishment in prisons, which is very common. It's considered one of the worst things you can do to a human being is to isolate them from other human beings for a prolonged amount of time, and also isolating them from the world in general, any form of entertainment, be it TV, the news, radio, a computer, a video game, a board game, something to write with. They restrict everything. You are in a room and you get fed, and you might get a half hour a day for exercise, if that much, and that's it. You're on your own after that, and it is a form of torture. Don't lie to yourself. Being by yourself for long periods of time will fuck you up. It truly will. And And I understand that, and I'm not ignorant of the plight of prisoners. I don't dismiss it. It's a horrible thing, and I do believe that the state of California, hell, every state in the union, has a tendency to abuse the use of solitary confinement. I think that 2 years is excessive. Yeah, I do. I really do. You know what? You fuck up, you do something wrong, you get a week. You fuck up again, you get 2 weeks. You fuck up again, maybe you get a month. But after that, I think you really have to consider, whether or not it's effective and whether or not it's actually making the situation worse. I think 2 years in solitary confinement will make just about anybody crazy. That being said, I don't really care. But you know who does care? Celebrities. Celebrities always care about stupid shit. Among those who have signed petitions to end solitary confinement in the state's prisons are Gloria Steinem, Jesse Jackson, Bonnie Raitt, and Jay Leno. Yeah. Because nothing says reform to me like listening to Jay Leno and Bonnie Raitt. Speaking of food, oh God, we only got about 3 minutes left here. The obesity epidemic, I love that term, the obesity epidemic, like people are just catching the need to eat and get fat gene. I know there's some of you out there that have, legitimate issues, medical issues. I'm not talking about you guys, but apparently the obesity epidemic has jumped to the point where 18.2% of all premature deaths in the United States can be attributed to being obese. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a big stretch from group to group. Let's see. Here we go. Premature deaths of white women, 21.7%. Premature deaths of black women, the highest rate of all, 26.8%. Among white men, 15.6%. Among black men, only 5%. And the reason they say it's only 5% can be attributed to being obese is because they tend to die from violence. Yeah, that sounded racist. I didn't even like saying it. And also, what new studies found, it's really interesting, is that knowing that something is bad for you does not stop people from doing it. Like, for instance, you have your warnings on cigarettes, cause cancer, emphysema, pregnancy problems, death, cancer, whatever, and people still smoke anyway, right? Well, they did a study where they told people, they gave people a piece of paper to let them know that you should eat only this much if you're a man, 800 calories. You should eat only this much if you're a woman, 650 calories for lunch. That is what's healthy for them. On average, people ate about 20% more food than what was considered healthy for them, as opposed to the people that were not given the information. People that were not given the information just ordered what they felt like ordering. Whereas people that were given the information, that were let known what is bad and what is good for you, tended to actually eat more. So please stop blaming McDonald's, KFC, and Taco Bell and everybody else for the fact that you're getting fat. You are given the information. You are given what's right for you. And not only do you not listen, you do worse. And that's it for me for today. Thank you for listening. I got to get out of here. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff. Listen to the Principal by Urban D. Speck.
Night Owls 3, Syntax, Flavor Alliance.
The world's about exploitation, sexploitation. The media got us overloaded, we can't keep our concentration.
It's funny, I actually had more to talk about fast food, but I'm out of time.